applause for Till out there.
Thank you. So Maximilian actually invited me before we came to Berlin, and I see around 120 people here, so give it up for Maximilian. What a great host. Thank you. So today I'm going to talk about my mindset change from engineer to entrepreneur. And first I want to know a bit about you. We already heard 40% have businesses. Who here is a digital nomad? Okay, so around 30%, I guess. Who is in e-commerce? Software as a service? Okay, 3 people in software as a service. So this talk might give you a bit of an idea how it is as an engineer and how to talk to engineers. So before I start, I want to make a confession. I have a pretty big ego, and that's not always a good thing. And going the route as an engineer is actually doesn't really help it. So I want to first ask you, what's an engineer? I mean, my diploma says it, so it's like a print of a sheet of paper that says, not engineer, but diploma. So that proves it, but what else is an engineer? Okay, I didn't get a clicker, so it would here. So the person on the right, that's an engineer, right? Quick question, who knows the name of these comics? Okay, please keep the hands up. Who knows that? Okay. So the audience, please look around. The people having the hand up now, these are the engineers. Okay. So I want to sum it up. Engineer, from my perspective, this is someone who solves problems. He avoids risk, right? Machines that he builds, systems that he builds, they have to run. And he owns knowledge. Everyone agreeing with me on that? Who's disagreeing? Oh, no one. That's good. Now, on the other hand, on the other side, on the right here, of course, that's the entrepreneur, right? An entrepreneur is someone who engages in commerce, who sells goods, trades goods. So someone also who knows what customer wants, who gives it to them, right? So maybe someone who sells lemonade. I don't know if you can see that, maybe it's a bit dark. That's a girl selling lemonade on the beach. And I researched a bit, allegedly she cleared $250 per day. So clearly someone who knows what people want who is able to give it to them, right? So to sum it up, that's an entrepreneur. He sells solutions, and he or she, I'm using he now, handles uncertainty, and he also owns a business. Now we already heard that we're here for the 4-hour work week. I want to ask again, who of you actually has a 4-hour work week? Okay, someone is, give it up for Nadia, right? Okay. And Johannes is lying, he has a 4-hour work week? He has a 0-hour work week, okay. May I ask again, who has a 4-hour work week or less? Johannes? Someone else? Okay, great. So, but we all want to get there, right? I think this is why we're here. So my second confession is I only had a 4-hour work week once, that was for half a year, when I wrote my diploma. And, well, I kind of technically ran the business, but I was delegating everything to my partner. Is Marco Radatz here? Okay, that's good. Maybe that's good. No, shout out to him. He was my partner in doing the software business. And he took the load from me, and for half a year I had a 4-hour work week. But still, you might ask yourself, who am I to talk to you what that is? This guy doesn't even have a 4-hour work week. And I don't even know if I'm a business owner, honestly. But we get to that later. So my expertise as an engineer, diploma, and the logo below that, the pink thing, was our software company. What I'm doing now is mainly marketing consulting. And my biggest success, honestly, was that I was transitioning from engineer to a marketing consultant, was able to monetize that skill within a year. And of course, I also built or tried to build another business, Relodeck. It's a software business. It's bootstrapped, it's still bootstrapping. Fotolove is something I'm only advising. have minority shares. It's a 6-figure e-commerce store where you can log in with Facebook and they ship you Polaroids to your home. And Your Own Way Out, that's a documentary. Who's on the DNX on Friday evening? Okay, fair amount, that's good. We're showing a preview there. Starring, for example, Freddie Lansky. There he is, yeah. Has a part there. Okay, now, so my talk is structured in 3 parts, and I might need to be a bit faster because I'm running probably over time. But it will be a very simple talk. We only go through these 3 topics, right? So let's start with solving problems, and I'm going to tell my story alongside this talk. So my story was 2006, came to the University of Kiel, computer science, and we were there for 5 years to solve problems. And I quickly learned that studying is actually not a full-time job, so I ran out of problems. So what does an engineer do if he runs out of problems? The engineers amongst you know that, right? What do they do? Find more problems, exactly. And this is what I did. I found a problem that I had myself, and I built a software that was a ticketing system combined with a social network. We programmed for a year, and no one wanted to have it. And as I said, my ego was big, and it was very small after this 1 year. And we stopped development right away, and we were basically on the ground, didn't really know what we were doing next. Okay, I was of course studying, but I mean, studying is not a full-time job, so what do you do? So suddenly, by talking to people and listening to entrepreneurs, we found that there was actually one future client of ours, who needed a software system built, and who saw that we had that and thought, you could actually build this for us. And that was this festival. Who knows that? Okay, so they came to us and said they needed to have a software built. It's Wacken, it's the world's largest heavy metal festival, and they wanted to have a software built. And we said, okay, sure, we can do that. So we pre-sold them the solution, they paid us, and then what did we have to do? Who did we need then? Engineers, exactly, these guys. And that was the software development team I built we actually built this, my partner, in a course of 3 years. So the marketing mindset lesson here was basically these first, one thing before. So we served them, it worked well, and then other companies came and wanted to have solutions from us. And over the course of 3 years, we built dozens of softwares for dozens of entrepreneurs. And people say around 80% of all companies fail. I think we all know that. We have probably failed a couple of times ourselves. This is a website that shows failures in a blog overview. So you can look at that and you see that many of these problems are actually marketing problems. People who are not able to sell something first, who are rather building something and then launching it to nobody. So we were not alone in this. And our clients were often like us and often like we here, building something first and not being able to sell it then. So the lessons here, the marketing mindset is first selling. How do you do that? You find people you can connect with. You ask them, what do you need? And then you pre-sell, of course, and then after that is solving the problem. That was the biggest mindset shift I had, and we never built a software again without being paid for it first. Also the SaaS that I'm building now, we got paid for it first. The second point, engineer avoids risk, and entrepreneur handles uncertainty. So that's one of our engineers. He's actually sleeping in the venue at the Wacken Festival, and he wants to make sure that all servers go really, really well. So he had built multiple servers and tests and everything. So an engineer really wants to make the system work. But entrepreneurs, it works different for us, right? We have to handle uncertainty. When we fail, we need to get back up. When we are talking to one person, we need to talk to the next person and to the next in order to get someone who needs our services. What did that mean to me? Now this is something, the documentary you're building now, I apply this learning here. for example, for social media, we don't tweet something out once. When we have a new podcast episode, this is our video podcast, we tweet it out 3 times. And then it goes on automate in the next month. The same is with influencer outreach. That's what I'm doing now as a marketing consulting. So we build lists of emails and we send them out in batches and to more people than just a few, because the impact is just greater. There's always a conversion rate of people who are not seeing something or not wanting to respond. We do that with a CRM. That's an actionable tip for you. Who knows Streak? Okay, a few. So this is a really great thing. Someone who doesn't have a CRM yet and who uses Gmail, please log in there. This is for free. You build a pipeline like this, and your contacts, they drip down through the stages. And only then you can really email them again. Well, otherwise, you have to keep lists of when did I email who, and that's very hard. So the marketing mindset at this point is handling uncertainty. This is something that every internet marketer knows. This formula comes from Jay Abraham. I used to put his name tag on it once. And who has seen that? A lot of them, yeah. I know that you're using it.
What's CLTV?
Customer lifetime value. Okay, so this I'm explaining it shortly. The people, let's say for a website, the people hitting the website, traffic, the people who are buying is a conversion rate. And the customer lifetime value is the average money you make per visitor or per client. Yeah. So this is the formula of how much money you make. When I started to think in this, I was less, oh, I need this client, I need to go for him. I was more in the mindset of, okay, I should maybe rather not talk to only 10, but talk to 100 prospects. That was the marketing mindset here. And this is now the last point of my slides. And it's not directly a marketing mindset, it's a bit of an entrepreneurship mindset itself. But you would see it soon. An engineer knows knowledge, right? So we're actually getting a certificate that we know something, that we can build algorithms, whatever it is that we studied. And the entrepreneur owns a business. Back to my team. So there we were. And where was the knowledge? Right, the knowledge was here. For example, the guy with the JavaScript icon, he got poached by Protonet. It's a startup from Hamburg. Thank you again. We couldn't replace him. Right? So this was really a problem from our business model. And further on, I got in touch with this guy, Joe Lederhaus, who's now living on the Bahamas, and I asked him, what's actually a business? So Joe Lederhaus has had an online store for ramps, and he sold the whole business for 30 million last year. So someone who should know how to run an e-commerce store, how to run a business. And he said, you don't have a business until you can walk away, come back, for 6 months, and it has grown. And that was really thinking about that, because, well, I mean, I could walk away for half a year, but business didn't grow. And then I came to this source, MJ DeMarco. Anyone has read the book, The Fast Lane Millionaire? Oh, okay. So this is actually much better than the 4-hour workweek. So please all read this book, MJ DeMarco. The Fast Lane Millionaire. So he categorized business models, and I don't want to go into everything in detail. I just want to give you an overview. Rental systems, real estate, or, for example, after we shut down our development shop, we gave the client contracts to other development shops and got passive income from that. Software systems, software as a service, like Nadia has. Content systems, something like maybe Maximilian does. Also, our documentary might be a content system at one point. And the passivity goes down. That means as you go down the ladder, the less passive a business is. And on the bottom, a 4 is some eBay, Amazon, right? On the 4 was my business. On the 5, sorry. On the 5, the human resource systems. That was my business. So I had a system of people executing something. And of course, it was not passive. So as you go up the ladder, it's easier to be passive and to eventually have a 4-hour work week. So for me, the hardest lesson was that my ego had to be minimized in order for me to be able to listen to other people. So I was failing for, as I said, a year, building something no one wanted, and then I was starting to listen. If that doesn't work, you have to work for someone else. Now, I want to close my talk, but before I do, I want to thank you. Thank you first, of course, thank you.
Yeah.
And I also would like you to think about one thing. When you're starting your next business, or also your current business, you don't have to answer it now, but just think about it. According to this definition, and I'm already saying I'm not a business owner. Are you a business owner according to this definition? If you come to the next, you see the preview of the documentary, and the slide resources are there. Thank you so much. Yeah.
How and why did the Wacken guys contact you?
So they had a consultant, and that consultant was a former boss of mine I didn't have contact to for years. And he was, by accident, coming across our website. Yes?
I think the passivity is growing with automation, and I don't see in your list why the human stuff is the least automated and the rental is the most automated. Can you explain that?
Yes, I can explain that. Actually, that's something I left out because I thought I was running out of time. When you have a human resource system, the problem is, let's say you have, like we had, 10 employees, and you make money by selling these employees, and you're adding 1 employee, you would sell more, but you also have management overhead, and you actually have a person more who's on your payroll, so the business is less passive. And furthermore, the knowledge normally is in the people, in the human resources, it often is, and that was the problem of my business model. Who knows what a productized service is? Okay, that's, not too many. So productized service is a service that you book over a website, and that gives you a defined outcome for a defined price. Something like Dan Norris does with wpcurve.com. That's something I'm transitioning now into from my consulting. And there, the knowledge is in the system, and then you can scale that up easier. But it's still a human resource system, and it's still less passive as on the higher ladder, the, let's say, a rental system.
What do you rent?
So, for example, if you rent real estate, you do not have to pay someone. You have to pay someone to manage the house, but that's it. It runs passive after that. You do not have to maintain it so much.
But it does not scale like software, but you can multiply and serve.
Yeah, for the passivity, it is important how many people are involved in running something to generate you money. A rental system, a few people are doing that. A human resource system, a lot of people are working to make you money. That is the difference. Maybe you should read the book. That would explain it a bit better. Yeah, Muni.
What would you say that engineers most need to learn about leadership, and what entrepreneurs most need to learn about leadership?
So the question is what engineers need to learn most about leadership. That's a good question. A lot of engineers actually very suited for leadership.
Very what?
For leadership. A lot of engineers are very suited for leadership.
Are or are not?
Are, yeah. What they have to learn for that, they need to step a bit back from going too deep into problems. If you, let's say you have an engineer and you tell him, do not solve this in total deep detail, rather care about your teammates. Often they do that. And this is what I've seen in my team.
What about entrepreneurs? What do they need to learn about leadership?
Well, that's a good question. I think the biggest thing entrepreneurs have to learn is delegation, because entrepreneur normally starts alone and has to do everything himself. And only later he has to delegate. And that's often a mindset shift they have to do, and that's very hard. More questions? Two more. Okay, but
Would you now hire, or in retrospective, hire a pure marketer, or pure like economist without any knowledge about IT? Can you repeat the question?
okay, the question is if I would hire a pure marketer. So, I mean, it depends on the situation. Looking back, if we would have had a pure marketer on our team and we would have used that guy or that girl to consult every single client we had, I think two more things would have happened. Our success rate would have been much higher and we would have lost a lot of clients because we wouldn't have been able to work for them. So what sometimes happened was clients came to us, their marketing budget was, let's say, 20,000, so really small startup. Sorry, their whole budget was 20,000 and they needed to have a software build that alone cost 20,000. And we said, we can do that. We didn't think about the marketing. So we built the software and then that founder was struggling with launching it, with marketing it. And I see this a couple of times actually. One more question.
Or no more questions?
No more questions.
Thanks, Till.
Okay, thank you so much. Go on,